The life of a crop farmer is a cyclical one. Planting in the spring, harvesting in the summer and fall. But what do farmers do during the off-season? Here at Hill Haven Farm in Kennedyville, farmer David Hill's day begins with an early morning feeding.
Typical day in the wintertime, obviously we have animals, so that's your first point that you want to start with in the morning is caring for those animals.
On this chilly February morning, breakfast time falls shortly after sunrise. But David, the fifth generation of his family to farm this land, is no stranger to waking up with the sun.
So the farm, Hill Haven Farm, came about when my father and uncle stepped out of the business 6 years ago. So I ended up purchasing the business away from them. Right now I'm tilling 1,250 acres of corn, wheat, soybeans, barley.
And then, of course, there's these girls.
We were dairy farming up until 2004 and now have a cow-calf herd of about 60 head of beef cows, but we still have a few show cows that we fool with.
After breakfast is served, David heads back inside to discuss the day's to-do list over a cup of joe with his dad, who still helps out on the farm.
You think it'd take two more trailer loads to clean it out?
Easily.
Number one on the agenda for today is trucking out what's left of last year's grain.
The corn that we have in this tank was harvested in October.
But rather than selling it right away, David chose to store it here on the farm. Until today.
One of the main reasons why corn's still in the bin at this time is to try to achieve a better price than you could get during harvest.
David does that by watching the global commodities market and keeping an eye out for price shifts that work in his favor. Like investing in the stock market, timing is everything when it comes to selling grain. The difference between a profit and a loss.
It's something that you try to follow all year, something that can fluctuate immensely day to day based on news that you see at nighttime, from a war that started to a country being invaded to a crop failure somewhere else.
Besides wrapping up loose ends from last year's harvest, David spends the winter months getting ready to start the cycle all over again.
We're about 4 weeks from heading into the spring, top dressing wheat.
That is the first fertilizer application of the year.
So obviously the first repair we want to make sure is straight is our sprayer, because that will carry all our nitrogen and fertilizer that we need for the crop that's growing. Most of the major equipment, such as the combine, the sprayer, the planter, the main tractors, they have maintenance continuously. They'll be done once a year to make sure that we can get through a season without any problems.
And when he's not preparing for his own planting season, David is helping other area farmers prepare for theirs. In addition to his farm, he runs a side business selling seed.
Most of the sales for the seed are during the wintertime when the farmers have had a chance to look at their yields that they've had, what crops they might plant for next year. These are all things that they're deciding during the winter. The rush becomes when you're trying to plant and at the same time you're delivering seed to get to the other area farmers that are also planting at the same time.
So what do farmers do during the off-season? Turns out it's a trick question. When you're a farmer, there's no such thing as an off-season.
So where a lot of people do have the misconception is that they see the grain harvest and they assume that most people, when it's done in the fall, have stopped, that they do not need to do anything else. But there's equipment repairs, there's updates, there's continuing education. To sit here and say that farmers aren't doing something during the winter in today's world to survive, he's doing something.